thing is, this is the general equation for quadratic formula. A x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And in the past, and well, just a few lessons ago, we started doing completing the square. And so if you were to take this and you were to divide everything by the lead coefficient and move your third term and take your second term and divide it by half and then square that, in the end we would end up with this formula. And so this is what the general equation is, and then this is what we're actually going to plug in to this equation. And so this example right here is already in the form that we need. Like, we need the general equation form to be able to pull out the numbers that we need to be able to plug into this formula. And so as long as it has a lead coefficient with, you know, x squared, or I mean, it could be any variable really, b squared, you know, y squared, whatever. But as long as this first term is the one that's squared, the second term just has the single variable, and then that third term does not have any variables. As long as it's in that form, we can pull out the values that we need and we can plug it into the quadratic formula. So we're going to start out. If we look up here, it's got a, b, and c. And so we're going to write a equals, b equals, and c equals. And let's go ahead and pull our values out so we'll know what we need to plug into this formula. So here we know that because a is the one that is with x squared here, we know that a equals 3 from the example. Then b is -2, and then c is 5. And then now that we have those three values, we're just going to do like when we evaluate. We're just going to plug it in. And so we're going to use this formula and plug in what we need. Don't forget, when you plug something in, that you need to put parentheses around it. And you know that makes a big difference when you're squaring negative numbers, because they'll end up being positive. And so if b is -2, we're going to plug it in. Then b squared, so we got -2, we're going to square that. Then we have 4. For a, we have 3. C, we've got 5. And all of that is going to be over 2, and then we're going to plug in 3 for a on that one. And so now we can go through and we can start simplifying some of this stuff. And so this first one is a negative times a negative, which is a positive. So we have a +2 there, plus, minus. And then under the house, this is where it makes a difference, right? Because -2 times -2 is going to be a positive now. So we got 4. Then we have got -12, but then we also have to multiply that by 5. So we're going to have -60 under the house. And then 60 on the bottom. Okay, then we can simplify what's under the house a little bit more. So we have -56 here over 6. And there's two things that we're going to use right here. One, 56 can be simplified. And so we need to break that down, and anything that can be pulled out of the house, we need to pull it out of the house. Another thing is that it is a negative, and we've learned recently that you can't have negatives under the house, so we're going to end up making that an imaginary number, and so we're going to be replacing it with an I. But we'll go ahead and break down the 56 first. And so we've got 7 and 8, 2 and 4, and 2 and 2. So we've got one set, and then we got some singles, and so that is actually going to be, we're going to pull that 2 out, and then we've got that -14 still under the house there. Okay, and all that is over 6. And again, this right here cannot be negative, and so we've got to move that. Okay, and then if we look at this as fractions, like 2 over 6 and 2 over 6, we can obviously reduce that to 1 over 3, and so we're going to want to do that. And so we got x equals, and if we separate those fractions, on this side we had 2 over 6, so we've got 1 over 3 plus, minus, and we're going to do square root of 14, because technically there's a 1 there, because it's 1 over 3 again, but we're going to leave that 1 out. We don't really need it right now. And then leave that I there because we did take away that negative under the house. And so there is nothing else that we can simplify. And so that is going to be the answer for that example 1.